Just a couple of days ago, I posted a video about me having and bear with me because I'm not good at saying this word on camera for some reason, a negligent discharge. Now that video generated a lot more interest than I thought it would, and definitely generated a lot more questions than I thought it would. So I thought I'd take a moment tonight to answer the questions that were asked most often. Now the question I got asked the most was, what gun was I shooting and were they hand loads? I was shooting a Ruger Vaquero that belonged to my friend. Now this is a .45 Colt Ruger Vaquero. This is mine. He had a .357 Magnum Ruger Vaquero, and they were hand loads. They were his hot hand loads that I was shooting. So I guess you could say I was seeing if I could handle his hot load. Now some people would say that it might be a mistake to see that if you could take your best friend's hot loads. But I say, what the hell? You only live once. Be adventurous. Now, the next question I got a lot was, what actually happened? Some people were like, did you bang it on the table? Did you forget to leave an empty cylinder in a single action? Well, these modern single actions have transfer bars, so you don't need to leave an empty cylinder, and banging it on the table wouldn't make it fire. It fired because of a hangfire. Some people didn't catch that, but it was a hangfire. And if you're not real sure what a hangfire is, think of it this way. Instead of the primer igniting the powder all at once for that spontaneous combustion, it fizzled for a little bit first, and then it ignited the powder. It's kind of like a slow fuse. It was a long delayed pop. So that's what happened. It took a few seconds for me to set the gun down and take my ears off, and in that time it fizzled and fired. I should have kept the gun pointed down range. And that brings up the next question. A lot of people were like, was it really a negligent discharge or was it just an accidental discharge? Well, I call it negligent because there was negligence involved that caused me to have the troubles I had. On that last round, I should have kept the gun up and pointed down range and waited for several seconds to see if it was going to fire. But I didn't because I lost count in my head, didn't know what was going on, wasn't paying close enough attention, made a mistake. Luckily, I kept the gun pointed down range, but I still made a mistake. Plus, I made a huge mistake in taking my ears off, taking off my hearing protection. If I had left my hearing protection on, I wouldn't have damaged my hearing. I wouldn't be having the problems I'm having now. But I am because I did something stupid and now I'm paying the price. And that leads me to another question where people are like, well, how is your hearing now? Well, it's 3 days later and the vast majority of the ringing is gone. It's still there, but it's much lighter and it kind of comes and goes. The actual deafness went away in the first, 5 or 10 minutes. And I would say my hearing is back to at least 95% now. The only real problem I'm having is when things get loud, like when I'm talking right now to the camera, it sounds in my ears like a distorted speaker on the loud high parts. So there is some damage done in there, and it's probably going to be some long-term damage, but most of this should fade. Everyone I'm talking to says most of these problems should go away. I should barely notice it from just one exposure. It shouldn't be too long-term. I mean, I was exposed to a lot of gunfire in the military, but it was mostly outdoors. I cannot tell you how much different it was from hearing gunfire outside with no hearing protection to being in like a little cubicle, with a wall on 1 foot to the right and 1 foot to the left and firing that .357 Magnum unexpectedly with no ears on. It was so loud. I don't even remember hearing the explosion really. I don't really even remember hearing it so much as I remember seeing the flash and then just beep. So if I wasn't negligent, I wouldn't have had those problems. So I was negligent, and like I said, I'm suffering for it now. Now the next question came because in the video I mentioned it could have been a lot worse if I had tried to fire the gun one more time. Once I got that click, if I had tried to fire it one more time to see why didn't it fire last time, did I really go through my whole rounds, did I not load it properly, etc. Because sometimes you fire a gun one more time once it empties out. I do that with semi-autos and other revolvers all the time at the range. But I didn't do this one on that one, and luckily I just sat it down. And I said if it had gone around one more time, it could have been much worse because the bullet would have exploded out of alignment with the barrel. And people were like, well, would that have made the gun blow up? Well, in this gun, that is definitely a possibility. Not so much in every other revolver or most other revolvers, but in this one it would be, and I'll show you why. Let's say I'm firing my Smith & Wesson Model 60 .357 Magnum, and I fire it and it's a dud round. Well, that dud round is still aligned with the barrel, it just hasn't gone off. But if I pull the trigger one more time, you can see where it goes. It would go right here. It is no longer aligned with the barrel. That's a little more dangerous. But if it was to go off now, it still wouldn't be that bad. As you can see, there's plenty of room there for that bullet to still come out. It isn't going to hit the gun. It might graze off the side of the gun and go spiraling away. It doesn't have a barrel to go down, so it's not going to be directed, so it's easily going to spiral off, but it's not going to explode. It has a way to get out. All that energy is going to escape. I don't know how familiar you are with single actions, but they have a little loading gate here. The cylinder doesn't spin out, and because that loading gate is right there, there is an ejector right here, a little plunger rod. Now, if I had fired the gun and it was a dud and I had decided, well, I'm going to try one more time, that bullet would have rotated away from the barrel just like in the other gun, But in this gun, there's no room for it to get out. As you can see there, it'd be lined right up with the ejector rod. That bullet would have nowhere to go, that energy would have nowhere to go, and this gun could explode. So that was a dangerous situation, more so in this gun than in most revolvers. Now, another question a lot of people are asking me is that a reason, that risk of a hangfire, is that a reason to not carry a revolver at all? And I'm going to have to say to that, no, it isn't a reason to not carry a revolver. The risk of that happening is so remote. It's like saying, well, I don't want to go to work today because I'm afraid hyenas are going to eat me in the subway. It's not going to happen to you. It's just so unlikely that it isn't worth worrying about. It definitely isn't something that's likely enough to make you choose your concealed carry weapon based on that happening. In fact, if you look around at catastrophic failures, you're going to find out that semi-autos still fail at a much higher rate as far as catastrophic explosions are concerned than revolvers, for other reasons. Some are the same reasons, some are different reasons, but they're still more dangerous, more likely of having a catastrophic explosion than a revolver, even though that risk, even with a semi-auto, is very, very, very slim, not really even worth considering. So you definitely wouldn't choose your carry gun based on something like that, be it semi-auto or revolver. So I hope that answers the questions for everyone that asked about carrying a revolver, etc. Yes, you can carry a revolver. No, don't worry about hangfires. A hangfire is what happened, etc. And for those that inquired about my well-being, well, thanks for asking, but I think I'm getting better. At least I hope I'm getting better. There's going to be some loss, but I don't think it's going to be really noticeable. So thanks for your concern, but for right now, I'm just going to sign off, stop doing this video, and quit screaming so my ears can have a little bit more time to heal.